You've tried on what feels like every pair of pants in the store. Some gap at the back. Some dig in at the waist and create a line right across your stomach. Some look fine standing up, but the second you sit down, everything bunches and pulls. If this sounds familiar, I want you to know right now, this is not about your body being wrong. It's about most pants being designed for a body shape that isn't yours. Today I'm explaining exactly why this happens if you carry weight around your midsection, and more importantly, exactly what to look for so pants finally feel like they were made for you. Welcome back to Fabulous After 50. If you're new here, subscribe. This channel is all about real solutions for real bodies, no matter what shape you are. Let's get into it. Why this happens, the design problem. Let's start with what's actually going on, because understanding this changes how you shop forever. Most mass-produced pants are drafted using a standard sizing block that assumes your waist, hip, and tummy all sit in a fairly predictable proportion to each other. For an apple body type, where you carry more fullness through the midsection and your hips and thighs are comparatively narrower, that standard block simply doesn't match your proportions. Here's what happens as a result. If you size up to fit comfortably around your tummy, the waistband becomes too big everywhere else, which causes that gaping at the back you've probably experienced. If you size down to fit your hips and thighs, the waistband becomes too tight at the front, creating that dig-in line, or worse, that horizontal crease across your stomach that makes everything look bigger than it is. This is not a flaw in your body. It's a flaw in how the vast majority of pants are constructed. Once you understand this, you can stop blaming yourself and start shopping with a completely different strategy. Rise is everything. The single most important factor for an apple body type is rise, meaning where the waistband of the pant actually sits on your body. A low rise or even a true mid-rise pant is often the worst choice for an apple shape, even though it might seem like the obvious solution to avoid the tummy area. Here's why it backfires. When the waistband sits below your natural midsection, it often lands right at the widest, fullest part of your stomach. That creates a shelf effect, fabric sitting on top of fullness, and it's one of the most unflattering things that can happen with pants. A genuine high-rise pant, one that sits at or just above your natural waist, works completely differently. It goes above the fullest part of your midsection entirely. The waistband sits on a narrower part of your torso, which means it can actually stay in place without digging in, and your stomach is smoothed rather than squeezed. Now, I know high-rise can feel like a loaded term, especially if past high-rise pants felt restrictive or unflattering. But there's a huge difference between a stiff high-rise pant with no give and a high-rise pant in a fabric with some stretch and movement. The rise does the structural work. The fabric determines whether it feels good. We'll get to fabric in a moment, but first, when you're shopping, the rise is the very first thing to check before color, before style, before anything else. The waistband construction matters more than the size. This next point might be the most important thing in this entire video, so I want you to really sit with it. For apple body types, the construction of the waistband matters more than the number on the size tag. A pull-on style pant with a wide, comfortable waistband, sometimes called a secret fit or comfort waist, is often dramatically more flattering than a structured pant with a button and zipper, even in a larger size. Here's why. A wide elastic or ribbed waistband distributes gently across your midsection, rather than creating one hard line at a single point. That single line is what causes the bulge above and below the waistband that so many women associate with "pants don't fit me." Remove that single hard line, and the bulge often disappears along with it. This is also why so many women find that pants from brands specializing in comfort waist or tummy control technology fit dramatically better. Not because of some magic shaping fabric necessarily, but because the entire waistband is constructed differently including your midsection, look proportionally smaller by comparison. This is genuinely counterintuitive for a lot of women. The instinct is often, I want everything to be as slim as possible everywhere. But for an apple shape specifically, a wider leg is doing you a favor. It's creating balance. Pair this with the high-rise waistband we just talked about, and you get a long, clean line that goes from a smooth, comfortable waist all the way down to a flowing leg. That's the silhouette you're after. Fabric. Why stretch and structure need to work together? Now let's talk fabric, because this is where a lot of pants either succeed or completely fail for apple body types. You want fabric that has some mechanical stretch, meaning the fabric itself contains elastane or spandex, even just a small percentage like 3 to 5%. This small amount of stretch allows the fabric to move with your body throughout the day, rather than fighting against it. Without any stretch, the fabric can look perfect on the hanger and feel completely different by the time you've been sitting for an hour. But here's the balance. You don't want fabric with so much stretch that it clings and reveals every line and shadow. A ponte knit is a fantastic example of getting this balance right. It has give, it moves with you, but it has enough structure and weight that it drapes smoothly rather than clinging. Crepe insert and twill blends with a touch of stretch also work beautifully. What you want to avoid is anything very thin, very clingy, or completely rigid with zero give. Thin, clingy fabric will show every detail you don't want highlighted. Completely rigid fabric will create those hard lines and creases we talked about earlier. Regardless of how well the pant is cut, when you're shopping, get in the habit of checking the fabric content on the label before you even try something on. A small amount of stretch in the fabric with enough structure to drape. That's your formula. Styling the top half to complete the look. Once you've solved the pant itself, the top half of your outfit plays a huge role in how the whole look comes together. A top that's tucked in completely can sometimes work against you if it's very thin or clingy, because it can reveal the same areas the pant is trying to smooth. Instead, a top that's tucked in just at the front, with the back left untucked, gives you the defined waistline you want at the front, while keeping things relaxed where it matters. A top with some structure, think a slightly boxy linen shirt, or a top with a bit of drape that falls just past the waistband. Worn untucked but not oversized also works beautifully. The goal is for the top to end somewhere around or just below the high-rise waistband, creating one smooth transition rather than a visible break. And here's a trick that works every time. A long-line cardigan, a blazer, or even a kimono-style layer worn open creates a long vertical line down the front of your body. This vertical line is incredibly slimming because it draws the eye up and down rather than across. Open layers are one of the most powerful tools available for apple body types, and they work with virtually every pant style we've discussed today. So to recap quickly, look for a genuine high-rise that sits above your fullest point, prioritize waistband construction over size labels, choose straight or wide leg over skinny, find fabric with a small amount of stretch and enough structure to drape well, and finish with a top that creates one smooth line rather than a visible break at the waist. None of this is about hiding your body. It's about understanding how clothing actually works with the body you have, so you can stop fighting your wardrobe every single morning. If you've struggled with pants for years, I really hope this gave you some clarity. Tell me in the comments, which of these tips is new information for you?